It is 8 o'clock and here are our top stories. The city of Aurora addresses violent crime. We ask if they'll address an apparent plan to oust the police chief as well.
We have to look at this as a year-round fire season. Wildfire season is officially here. Tonight, the Front Range community is sharing a sigh of relief as evacuations begin near Estes Park.
Unfortunately, it's something that we're going to continue to experience.
And a ruling on former President Trump's attempt to overturn the 2020 election, likely criminal.
You have a judge on the record saying he believes that crimes were committed by the president.
President Biden holding off on his pledge for student loan forgiveness as repayment looms overhead.
They've had a very long period of time to not have to worry about making this payment. Our concern is, are students really prepared?
And good evening and thank you for watching Denver 7 News on Local 3. I'm Ann Trujillo.
I'm Danny New. Tonight, Aurora City Council is meeting to discuss two significant topics for the city. A final vote on Mayor Kaufman's urban camping ban and strategy for addressing violent crime.
It is also the first meeting since Denver 7 first reported that Police Chief Vanessa Wilson will soon vacate the position. Aurora City officials have neither confirmed nor denied our report, but last week, Wilson's attorney told Denver 7 that City Manager Jim Twombly has asked Wilson for an exit strategy.
Denver 7's Colette Bordelon is at the meeting tonight. Colette, you've heard from people coming to the chief's defense.
That's right, and I also reached out to absolutely every member of City Council, the mayor, the police department, the city, to try and get an updated statement on our coverage from last week. But right now, they're not saying anything. That didn't stop the people of Aurora from talking to council, though. Like you guys said, a busy agenda tonight here at Aurora City Council. The people who showed up for public comment bringing up Police Chief Vanessa Wilson, even though that's not on the agenda. Many we talked with saying the department has a rough reputation right now, and they believe the chief has been doing everything she can to change that. They especially don't like not knowing exactly what's going on and want answers.
There's people in the city who really support her and want her to stay and really appreciate what she's doing.
Chief Wilson is the chief of this city, and she's doing the work that she needs to be doing.
The statement from the city says they will not engage in speculative conversations about their employees. Chief Wilson's attorney says she has no plans to retire or resign. Still, the big question on the minds of the people I talked with is who could take that job. I'm going to head back into the meeting now to listen on those other items that are also being talked about tonight here at Council. Live in Aurora, Colette Bordelon, Denver 7.
All right, Colette, thanks. And another major item on Aurora City Council's agenda tonight, the urban camping ban. You may remember this issue was taken up 2 weeks ago when Mayor Mike Kaufman added amendments to the ban. Well, the new measure includes storage options for those whose belongings get moved. The proposal also requires a 72-hour notice before a camp is cleared and would make sure to not find people experiencing homelessness. We will have a full update on the council's decisions coming up tonight on Denver 7 News at 10.
High fire danger remains in effect across the Front Range. Air Tracker 7 got video of a new fire burning just south of US 34 between Estes Park and Drake. They're calling it the Soulshine Fire, and it was last reported to be burning 23 acres and is now 30% contained. In response, the Larimer County Sheriff's Office says they have contacted 9 homes to evacuate. Meanwhile, Boulder County fire crews have the NCAR fire at 68% containment. It has burned 190 acres just south of the NCAR building in South Boulder. Last night, all evacuation orders were lifted, but El Dorado Canyon State Park remains closed.
Tomorrow, Boulder County is holding a virtual meeting that should include exact details on the debris removal process for those affected by the Marshall Fire. Commissioners approved a contract last week with the company that will be responsible for clearing the area. Now, the county has said debris removal could begin shortly after a contract is signed. Anyone interested in listening in to this 6 o'clock meeting tomorrow night can register on boco.org.
The fire inside Empower Field in Mile High caused more damage than what was believed initially. During the NFL's annual meeting in Florida, Broncos president and CEO Joe Ellis said it would be a real challenge to have the seating area that burned and the damaged suites ready in time for the start of next season. Specifically, Ellis told our partners at the Denver Post that a couple hundred seats were destroyed along with 12 luxury suites. Denver Fire says it was accidental and they are still investigating. Ellis did mention summer concerts will not be impacted, but no word yet on season ticket holders in those areas that were impacted.
And now on to Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine. Ukrainian President Zelensky says his country is prepared to negotiate with Russia and that those meetings could begin as early as tomorrow. And he added that Ukraine would be willing to adopt a neutral status and not join NATO. He also said Ukraine would keep its non-nuclear status, but only if the country receives security guarantees against future attacks. Meanwhile, since Russia's invasion began last month, the United Nations says nearly 4 million people have now fled Ukraine to neighboring countries.
Today, a federal judge in California ruled that former President Trump, quote, more likely than not, committed felony obstruction to overturn the 2020 election. The judge also ordered right-wing attorney John Eastman to turn over more than 100 emails between he and President Trump to the January 6th committee. Eastman is also a former CU visiting professor.
And today, President Biden released his budget proposal for the 2022-23 fiscal year and designed to reduce the nation's deficit. It includes a tax hike for the wealthy called the Billionaire Minimum Income Tax Plan. This plan would impose a 20% minimum tax rate on all U.S. households worth more than $100 million. The White House estimates if the billionaire tax plan is enacted, that tax would reduce the deficit by about $360 billion over the next decade. Now, noticeably absent from the president's budget, student loan cancellation.
Yeah, federal student loan payments are set to resume in May, but many are wondering if President Biden will pause loan payments for a fourth time or expand forgiveness programs further.
Alexa Liacco found out what borrowers need to know about the upcoming deadline.
Lorianne Weiss, who works in the financial aid department at the Metropolitan State University of Denver, says she's worried if payments resume, many students will still not be able to pay them.
Obviously, having a little bit more time certainly helps them, but I think our concern is, are students really prepared? They've had a very long period of time to not have to worry about making this payment.
This is an issue that impacts 43 million Americans. The average borrower owes around $36,000 with a total of $1.6 trillion in federal student debt. President Biden has so far forgiven $16 billion in student debt by expanding student loan forgiveness for certain borrowers. That includes public service employees like teachers, firefighters, and first responders, people with severe disabilities, and people who were scammed at for-profit colleges. Pausing or canceling federal student loans is a controversial issue. Proponents of loan forgiveness say it could immediately boost the economy, giving borrowers more money to spend on other things. And they say it could give financial security to a lot of borrowers, especially historically marginalized groups.
Our cost of living has increased so much. So to be able to absorb that funding and put it into other places is certainly going to only help them.
But some critics say loan forgiveness is too expensive. According to the Department of Education, the payment pause has cost the federal government and taxpayers at least $95 billion in unpaid interest. Experts warn if student loans are forgiven, that could limit funding to other spending programs. So what comes next? Well, this could go one of three ways. First, President Biden could forgive all $1.6 trillion of federal student loan debt. And if he does, it will be the costliest social spending initiative of his entire presidency, topping unemployment insurance, the earned income tax credit, and food stamps. Second, President Biden could forgive some federal student debt. On the campaign trail and early in his presidency, he said he was open to eliminating at least $10,000 in student debt per borrower. That would cost the government $373 billion, but Biden hasn't announced a plan to do so. Third, Congress could decide the fate of student loan payments. There are two bills recently introduced. One would prevent future pauses on federal student loan payments. The other would pause payments until 2023 and cancel loans for more borrowers. As the debate continues, experts do warn borrowers, don't count on forgiveness happening. Be prepared for payments to resume eventually. I'm Alexa Liacco.
Coming up on Denver 7 News at 8, population's up and water levels are going down.
How can we strike a much better balance by having a fairly aggressive plan to conserve water?
A metro city's proposal to avoid a drought means limiting the rough.
70s and 80s today, but there's rain and snow on the way.
And even Will Smith's outburst.
Oh, wow! Wow!
can't steal the show from Colorado's deaf community.
If they see someone doing it, then they recognize there is proof that I can do it as well.